You are listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin.
What is going down? What is going down? This is your boy Studio MacGyver, and you are listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin'. And man, I have a show for you guys today. Today, we're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2. That's right, the Nintendo Switch 2, guys. I didn't have a podcast last week because I wanted to wait for this announcement, and I wanted to dive in deep and really talk about everything that everybody else has been talking about, but give you my side, give you my opinion on, how this is going to go down, at least for me, my perspective and what I'm actually going to do, like my plan for the Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm going to talk about that. Of course, that's going to be the topic of this episode, guys. But before I get there, I'm going to talk a little bit about my anime watch list and what I'm currently playing right now. So without further ado, let's begin the show. This is also a special episode per se because it's my 400th episode, guys. This is episode number 400. That's crazy that I even have that many. When I think about it, I bug out sometimes. But yeah, 400 episodes is crazy work. Anyway, let's get into this podcast, guys, shall we? And I'm going to start with my anime watch list. And I finished up Solo Leveling, so I got a few things done over the last couple of weeks, and that was one of those things. It was only like an episode left, I want to say, the last time I spoke to you guys about it. But I was really pleased with how it ended, and I'm already looking forward to season 3. Now, of course, after the episode ended, I went and I looked and searched, and it got a pretty good indication that, guys, we're going to get a season 3. The manga is already done, I think. The manga is, I really got close to going and checking with some YouTubers to find out what actually happened with the rest of the series. And I still may do that because I really love this anime. It has a special place in my heart, I must say. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So I just wanted to let everybody know, if you have not seen Solo Leveling, and if you're looking for anime, if you're looking for shonen anime in particular, you definitely need to check this one out, guys, because it is a banger. My favorite shonen so far this year and last year. Okay, so I'm just putting it out there, guys. It is an awesome show, so you guys should definitely check it out. Also, definitely check out Invincible. I'm still on season 3 now. I'm on season 3 now. Yeah, slow but steady. I haven't had a lot of time to watch anything, and I'll explain that in 2 Shakes of a Lamb's Tail. But yeah, that's been me pretty much. And I think I also watched Daredevil as well. I caught up on that. And if I'm being honest with the Daredevil thing, man, it's kind of slow. You know what I mean? Slower than I anticipated. It's dragging along. There's only 9 episodes this season, so they only have a few more episodes to show me something. You know what I mean? It was kind of a slow burn, if you will. Not the best Daredevil that I've seen. Okay, there's better seasons and back when they came out on Netflix, in my opinion, and I would definitely encourage you guys to look at that if you have not. But yeah, it's okay. I mean, most people I think that I've talked to, they're waiting for the Punisher. Okay, and yeah, so I'll just say that. I won't say anything else. I'll wait till it's complete before I give my full, opinions on it. But that's where I stand right now. But anyway, let's get off of that and let me talk about the other anime that I started like a few days ago. Okay, and this one goes by the name of Anyway, I'm Falling in Love with You. Okay, it's about this chick who has grown up with all these guys. She's got a shit ton of male friends. I want to say it's 4 of them in all. I think one of them is gay. But anyway, she grew up with these guys, most of them, and that from little kids all the way up until teenagers now. So, and I've only watched a couple episodes, but from what I've seen so far, it's one of those romantic animes, I guess you could say that, because basically she confesses her love to somebody else that she's been watching, but he doesn't reciprocate that towards her. And then on the flip side, one of her friends that she grew up with has confessed his love to her. And she kind of, threw him to the side, but he is not taking no for an answer. Okay. He is pushing up on her hard. And I don't want to give too much of it away, but there was a scene in there where he just like straight up went for it. All right. And I thought it was pretty fly. I thought it was pretty smooth. But anyway, that's what I'm watching now. I kind of want to shake it up. You know what I'm saying? I've kind of fell in love with the, I guess you can call it romance, I guess, animes. There's a lot of them that I've watched up until this point now. And, a few years ago, I would look at you and laugh if you asked me to watch some of this stuff. But that's why I love exploring and trying new stuff, because without that, the palette would not just be the same. So if there's no good shonen at this time, or I don't feel like watching shonen at this time, if this was a few years ago, I would just be like, well, I'm not watching any anime right now. Okay. But now, because I've been expanding my palette and falling in love with all these different genres, now I have so many options and I'm always able to watch something, right? And that's kind of like how it feels when I'm watching stuff like this. I did not expect to like this stuff. I did not expect to root for certain characters and just be so invested in a lot of these shows where I'm sitting down and I watch the episode 1 or the episode 2 and I'm off. Like it's on my off time where I'm not having to go into work the next day. And then I get excited because I'm like, well, damn, I don't have to go anywhere. I could sit here and watch all of these tonight. You know what I mean? And then when I get close to the end, what do? I back out when I have like 2 episodes left. I jump back in Crunchyroll and I go through and I find, I get recommendations like more like this. And then I'm saving this, I'm saving that one, backlogging this, backlogging that. And then I have fun just finding other ones. So, I mean, that's the art and that's the fun for me with this Crunchyroll stuff, man, because I can go in there and I feel like I'm treasure hunting. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that everyone I've looked at has been bankers, because they haven't. Some have just not been able to hold my attention. And I just said, you know what, this one's not for me. So I'll move on. But it's so invigorating. It's so refreshing when you do find those. And usually more times than not, I end up finding a lot. So let's say I look at 10 anime, and out of those 10 anime, 7 of those are going to have my attention. Okay. 7 of them will actually be worthy of me sitting through the whole thing, watching them. And that's cool. I mean, that's what I like. And then now that I have my palette, which is expanded, which I, do multiple genres now, it's kind of like, yo, you have your pick of the litter now, so, and now I find myself sometimes there's a lot of anime I need to catch up on in my backlog. And I know it's sitting there, My Hero Academia, there's a lot of them, right? One Piece, the list goes on and on. But sometimes I don't feel like watching that now. And I think sometimes I have an urge to watch something else and I find myself yearning for something else. And now that is where I'm at. So I'm like, well, you know what? I feel like watching this. I feel like, reliving my teenage years through another character, with a Japanese backdrop. You know what I mean? I just love Japanese culture. I love, just the backdrop of teenage adolescents in Japan and watching them kind of shuffle through that shit. I don't know. It's a new kind of found vibe, I guess, that I found myself really enjoying. So that's what I'm on right now. And I'll definitely keep you posted on new ones and all that. There's still some that haven't come out yet that I'm still waiting to come out that I'm really kind of itching and kind of upset about. I mean, 86 is one that I just wish they would let us know. Are you guys going to stop? Are you guys going to continue? Please just let me know. there's a lot of those that I really want to see again, and I don't know if we're going to see him again. But that's here nor there. That's just me talking talking shit. But anyway, that's my anime watch list, guys. Let's get to the meat and potatoes, and let's start with the gaming, because I'm going to talk about what I've been playing. And I know you guys know I've been playing Assassin's Creed Shadows and enjoying that, and really just taking my time living in that world, guys. And that's pretty much what my experience has been. I have been in Japan, just riding around, just taking everything all in. I'm not just rushing through the game. I got a friend of mine who bought the game right around the time I did, and he already beat the story, ran straight through the story. There's still plenty to do afterwards, but he chose to put the game down and move on to something else. I think Monster Hunter had a new update recently, and he was doing that. I think they had a couple new monsters or whatever, so he was doing all that stuff. He's a huge Monster Hunter fan, especially this new one that came out. Now, me personally, my favorite Monster Hunter is Rise, and I just like Rise. This new one that came out, it didn't really gravitate towards me like I thought it would, man. You know what I mean? And it's just, you can't lie to yourself when it comes to games, guys. You guys know it. We all know it. There's been games that I'm sure a lot of you thought you were going to like more than you did, and completely the opposite of that as well. There's some that you thought you'd give a try, and it ended up being one of your favorites. That's kind of like been me with this one. Thought it was going to be a lot more hype for me, and it just wasn't. And so I didn't buy it. You know, I went and bought something else. And I have put Assassin's Creed down for a minute to take a break. And, you know, one thing I will say about Assassin's Creed is, at least when I'm playing with Yasuke, the game is easy mode, okay, as far as the combat. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love his combat, and I've been doing my thing. But that's what it's been. You know what I mean? And when I play Assassin's Creed now, it's more so me taking in the environment, getting, you know, bits and pieces of the story and the lore within the game and the world. That's kind of like been my experience with the game, which I love dearly. But I kept hearing people talk about this, and I told you guys this a long time ago when this game was first announced. I'm talking about the first Berserker, Kazan. This game, I've been playing this recently, like the last few days. Okay, I've been playing this, and I fucking love this game. Okay, this is if you're not familiar with this is a Souls-like game with a different sort of paintbrush. It's got an anime art style to it, right? I think that's what attracted me to it at first, and it's definitely not for the weak. If you're not into these Souls games, man, you probably don't want to be messing with this one. And, you know, when it comes to Souls games, I have a love-hate relationship with them, guys, because I appreciate that genre, like especially, you know, Bloodborne, which is my favorite out of the From Software series. Everything that From Software has done, Bloodborne would be my first. Now, my favorite all around, I guess, From Software game is Armored Core 6. That's the one I love dearly, but I kind of put that in another genre because we're talking about mechs here, still in that same skeleton environment. It's a very difficult game for, you know, your average gamer. They're not going to just pick that up and run through it. You know, they'll probably put it down before they end up finishing it, but it's still in that genre. But this game here, when it comes to Souls games, guys, I've never beaten one besides Armored Core. Okay, Armored Core 6 is the only From Software game that I have beaten by myself. Okay, because it's a single player game anyway, but that's the only one I've beaten multiple times by myself, right? And that's the one I pushed myself through the challenges. If it was any other From Software game, I would have put the game up a long time ago, which I've done on previous games that they've come out with, right? Now, Bloodborne, I played that game. I played that game pretty much from beginning to end, and the DLC, beat the DLC as well. But I did it with help. I did it with a partner, like either my best friend Dig, we beat it, and we had some of my other friends online that we did that as well. So I never played that game solo, right? It was always me playing it with somebody, you know, putting an extra body or two out there and beating the game, right? And that goes for all the other ones too. Elden Ring, I have not even beaten yet. I have not even beaten Elden Ring. I've played with friends and we've, you know, leveled together and we've beaten certain bosses together, but I still have yet to beat Elden Ring. I have not beaten it, right? And I haven't had the push to give myself that challenge to do so, if that makes sense. Like, I love the game for its lore more so than I love the game for its gameplay, I guess, if that makes sense. And so that wasn't enough to get me to bang my head against the wall over and over again until I beat said boss and then move on to the next one and so on and so forth. The only game that has made me want to do that up to this point has been Armored Core 6 because I love mechs. And the next one, I haven't felt that way about a game since then until today, until the first Berserker. Okay. This is the only game, the only Souls-like that has been hard as nails. Okay. That I have pushed through. And this is a solo game as well. So I'm going to have to do it solo by myself, technically. Now there is something where you can kind of summon. They have summons in this game as well. But for the most part, I have been doing it solo. All right. And it's hard as hell. And I've been hitting my head against the wall, especially Viper. Guys who've played this game, you know who Viper is, especially he's like the third boss or something like that. He feels like he should be later in the game. Definitely. He has a stupid phase. He has like 4 different phases, man. All right. But anyway, I mean, I got a taste of that. And I said, you know what? I think it took me 40 times before I beat this guy. Easily 40 times. And if it was any other Souls game besides Armored Core 6, I would have put that game down 20 losses ago. But I did not do it because I love this game so much. I love the aesthetics of the game. I love just the simplicity of it being a revenge story. I love the design of Kazan and the characters in the story. Everything about the game. I love what the game offers to the player because it's a fair game. Technically, it's as brutal as it is a fair game at the end of the day because it does a couple things different than most Souls games do for you. It pays you for your time. That's one thing. It may not be a lot, but it pays you for your time. So you're getting something no matter what you do. If you're dying all the time, you're still getting paid. And in your average Dark Souls game, if you lose your essence, whatever the currency is in that game, once you die, guess what? If you go back and you don't recover it, you're done, right? And usually when they give it back to you, you have to initiate the boss fight first. This game gives you your essence right before you fight the boss, so you can recover it every time. So if you lose it, okay, you can go back and you can recover it every time. Even if you fight a boss, let's just say you don't have any essence or whatever, and you're fighting a boss and you lose 10 times in a row, whatever. Every time you take a loss, right, you still get paid for it. You still get experience, and you can take that experience and you can invest it in a new ability or whatever. Okay. So that's the cool thing as well about this game. It's fair and it pays you for your time. All right. And even if it didn't have that aspect in the game, I would still love the game just as much, just because I just am obsessed with how the game makes me feel. And I can't explain why. I think it's the art style. A big portion of it is the art. I really do. I really believe that, but also it just feels good. And it's one of those things where you just know when you know. Sometimes there's no explanation to it, guys. You just put a game in your hand and you play it, and it just speaks to you, right? And this is that game for me. Like, this is definitely gonna go down being my favorite Souls-like game. Okay, up there with Armored Core 6. I'm not gonna say it's gonna beat Armored Core 6 right now, but like as far as like non-mechs, a non-mech Souls-like, this is definitely numero uno. Okay, and I'm not even very deep into the game yet. I think I may be 12% complete with this game. All right, yeah, I think I beat my my 5th boss. Okay, the spider boss, whatever that spider guy is. And that's really the early game because I'm trying to get the blacksmith, and we don't even have the blacksmith at the base yet. And that's the guy I just beat to get him there, but I'm still not done. I'm thinking, oh yeah, great. We got the blacksmith now. We can start farming for this and that. No, I have to go retrieve his hammer for some reason. So this was like 4 a.m. last night, and I had to work the next day. So I said, oh my God, I was going to explore, that aspect of the game. And I was like, well, I have to wait till tomorrow. So I had to put it down and wait. And so, yeah, it's a great game though. I fucking absolutely love it. And that's what I've been spending my time on. And hopefully I can beat it my first playthrough before Expedition 33 comes out at the end of this month, and I'll be cool. But I'm really anticipating that as well. So it's been, as far as games are concerned, it's been a really fun time for me. And I hated that I had to get this game on Amazon because I was trying to find physical. I didn't want to download it. The game was small as well. The game is only like 25, 26 gigabytes, guys. So that right there, was awesome to me. And I just assumed that, I was going to be able to pick it up at a Target or Walmart or a GameStop, right? My wife got off work. I was home with the kids. I said, you know what? Can you pick it up for me? And she was like, yeah, but I'm here at Walmart and they don't have it. I said, all right, let me call around, make sure you don't waste your time. So I called around, hit everywhere. I hit Target. I hit another Walmart. I hit Best Buy. Okay. GameStop, which they're a shell of their former self. GameStop can eat a dick now, man. It's over. It's over. It's over for them. Okay. But anyway, I called all these places. They don't have any of them. Okay. None of them has a copy. And then the last one I talked to was GameStop. I said, yo, what's going on? Why don't you guys have this? They said, oh, well, nobody pre-ordered it. And then the game came out, and a couple of days later, now everybody wants it. And it's just hard to find. So I was like, wow. And a lot of retailers are, like I said, this game is a more so of a niche title. It's not like, one that is, really wanted by the masses, if you're a casual gamer and it's not a casual gamer type of thing, if casual gamers aren't looking for this, like a GTA or something like that, or Call of Duty, a lot of these stores aren't going to carry these games, right? And I'm a niche gamer. Most niche gamers like myself we're diehards. So in other words, we don't just have one system. Usually we have multiple game systems, and we have games just all around us. We have backlogs and shit like that. So they don't typically cater to us anymore like that. You have to go online. So I think I told you guys, man, here on out, when I want a physical game or whatever, I'm just going to hit Amazon up. I usually get it the next day, and it's just, GameStop is just not worth it anymore. You're getting fucked every time you go there. Pretty much, you know what I mean? So I'll leave it at that. And that's what I've been doing. So that's what I've been playing. I've really been enjoying myself. I ordered it, got it in, had to wait a day to get it, and been playing it and been enjoying it. Gonna play it tonight. Gonna play a lot this next few days. Yeah, man. So that's been my experience there with that. I'm also just throwing this in on the side tangent, guys. I've got some musical equipment together. I pulled out my old keyboard, my keyboard, and I downloaded some. I bought a few plugins last week, so I'm gonna start working on some music, some lo-fi stuff that I've been wanting to do. You know what I mean? And I'll eventually let you guys get a gander at that, because I plan on putting, doing some new intros for the podcast. So when you hear the music, if you hear any lo-fi in the future from me before the show starts, that'll be my actual music. So I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that. But yeah, I do music on the side too for fun sometimes, and I haven't done it in a long time. I just been really wanting to get back into it. And I've just been, kind of fiending for it. So one of my other side hobbies that I like to do, sometimes I like to draw too, just throwing some lo-fi, you know what I mean, on a nice day, and, have my lights going, my LEDs, popping, and, take out some paper, man, and lead pencils, man, and get to work. You know what I mean? So that's what I've been doing. And, having a good time doing it. So with that out the way, after 20 minutes, let's go ahead and get that elephant in the room, and let's talk about this Nintendo shit. Let's break this shit down, guys, because oh my God, is it something? Okay. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have already heard, most of you already know what's been going on out here in these video game streets when it comes to this fucking Nintendo Switch 2. But I have to break down some things. First, I'm going to talk about the good. I'm going to talk about a lot of things that they had and they were doing. And, I was excited. I'm keeping it real. I was so excited. And I was like, yo, this direct is pretty popping. I mean, they had some shit for us. They saved it, and they were waiting, and they wanted to show us, man. So, and they killed that shit, okay, at the end, right? It's kind of like getting to make love to your favorite vixen, right? Think of like your top, the one person you would just do anything to have sex with, to sleep with, right? And you get that opportunity, and you sleep with her, right? And it was good. The sex was amazing. And you're done. You finally finish, and you're laying in bed, and the sweat hasn't even dried off of your bodies yet. Okay. And then she turns to you and says, well, I hope you enjoyed yourself, but there is something I must confess. And then she commences to telling you she has HIV. That's what this felt like. That's the closest thing this felt like to me, guys. Straight up. No bullshit. Like, rubbed us down in oils, and there were lit candles everywhere when the presentation was going on. Everything was love. Yeah, everything smelled nice. She was gorgeous. Body was banging. You know what I'm saying? I'm clapping those cheeks. Everything's beautiful. And then afterwards, after I climax, after I get off, I'm laying in bed catching my breath, and she hits me with the HIV shit. Right? And basically I'm like, what? I can't even say anything. I'm speechless. And before I can say anything, she says, there's nothing you can do about it. What's done is done. Now you can either get with that or not. I swear, man. I swear to God, that's exactly how it fucking feels. Okay, with this Nintendo shit. Okay, let's start off with the price, because everybody, people are saying, I heard people talking about this price months ago. I thought, and most people that I talked to and that were talking about this thought it was going to hit at around $399. Okay, 99. So $400, right? So they upscale us. They hit us with the $450. And I hate when people don't talk about taxes. Okay, I hate this the most. People don't talk about taxes. Let's just go on and say it. It's going to be $500. I mean, let's be real. I'm looking at how much money am I going to have to spend completely. I'm not looking at, before tax, because when you get into the hundreds, that stuff matters. The extra $50, come on, man. It's $500. That shit matters. So that's what we're going to be paying. Okay. And then there's supposed to be a bundle. There's supposed to be a bundle with Mario Kart on it, like the new Mario Kart game. I think it's called Mario Kart World, which looked impressive. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I think for $500 you get that. So you save about $30. Because guys, I'm gonna get into it. Like I said, let me just hold back. Let me talk about the good shit first. Let me just talk about the good shit. And like I said, what had me excited and everything like that. Okay, so they started out with Mario Kart World, which is, like I said, looks breathtaking. You can tell they definitely expanded on everything you can do, the number of players that can be on screen. And now it's kind of like an open world type of thing. So you can, instead of just worried about staying on the track, you can actually just drive wherever you want. Some vehicles have wings, you can fly, and you can sit there and just explore the world in your vehicle until while you're waiting on a race. And you can just, you go have your race or whatever. And it looks awesome. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. It looks very crispy. You could tell, that the devs were cooking in the lab, and they really had a chance to, get time with this hardware. And, that's the exciting thing about Switch, because they always do great things with their tech. They're able to, whoever's working for them, as far as their first party games and everything they're going to be coming out with, those are going to be amazing. There's going to be a lot of dope games coming out for the Switch. You can't deny that, right? But so we got a taste of that with this Mario Kart game, right? And then another one that I hear everybody's talking about is Donkey Kong Bonanza. This one is an open world 3D action adventure starring your boy Donkey Kong. So that one is looks very promising. I'm not a Donkey Kong player or fan like that, but this one you can't deny. This one looks awesome. And a lot of people are salty because they were looking for a Mario game, which will eventually come. We all know this, but they were looking for that day one Mario game, and it is not coming. They decided to switch it out with Donkey Kong. So they're going there with that, and that's cool, whatever. And keep in mind, guys, these are first party games, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically games that are only coming out for Nintendo. They're not coming out anywhere else. And that's what you're going to get, right? First party games. But anyway, let's move on down this list and talk about some of the other games that they had. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. You got Metroid Prime 4. You got Super Mario Jamboree, Pokemon Z and A. Now these games are older games that came out on the Switch. Okay. And they're just basically kind of getting a bump. They're getting an upgrade, if you will. So let's say you already own one of these games. Usually you can pay $10, $20, and you can get the downloaded patch, which will give you, 60 frames, will give you an upgraded graphics. You may be able to get 4K or whatever on it, that type of thing. So that's what's going on with a lot of these games. Okay. Which is cool. You know what I mean? If I'm being honest, but anyway, these are some of the games that, I saw that I just, kind of blew my mind. And there's one in particular that, blew a lot of people's minds that everybody's talking about. And it's a From Software game, and it's an exclusive From Software game. So this is not coming out anywhere else except Nintendo. Now, will that change? Could that change? I think it will. I think that this game is, by the way, the name is called The Dusk Bloods. All right. It looks to be like some vampire-esque From Software game. I mean, they showed a vampire in there. There's supposed to be 12 different players to choose from, and this is going to be a a multiplayer game, believe it or not, guys. And people started scrambling. People started to get worried. A lot of the From Software fans, and they had to put out a statement saying, "Look, guys, we know we're working on an online From Software game coming out soon for other consoles, and we know you guys got this information here, but we want to reassure you that we're still focused on single player games, and we're currently doing our thing. Okay, just let us cook, and we will be back. Okay, with the single player experience, but right now we wanted to hit y'all with these." So I think they're kind of like in their bag with the online shit, and they're going to see how that goes. And this is one of those games, and this is coming out in 2026. That's all we know. The trailer is crazy because it looks really over the top. The vampire actually had a fucking machine gun. Okay. A semi-automatic machine gun hanging on his back. You know what I mean? I saw him shooting like an SMG. Like, it was crazy. I saw a fucking robot type character who looked like he was made out of tin. I don't know what the fuck, kind of like Iron Man and flying around and shit. So this is definitely going to be different. Okay. And we don't know all the information on it, but of course, when it comes out, I will definitely keep you guys posted on that. Okay. But yeah, so that one, it was what caught me and a lot of people off guard, and that is exclusive as well. So yeah, that one really, really hit somewhere. But anyway, I think that game will probably come out later on other consoles, guys, better versions of that eventually. And I have just so much to talk about when it comes to the Switch, but anyway, they have a lot of stuff. And like I said, these games, they hit. They also went into detail on the hardware and what it was offering and what's different from this one as opposed to the Switch 1. And one thing that is different is the docking system, which is going to have a fan inside because now you're dealing with more power and you want to keep that thing cool, while you're chilling, while it's sitting in dock mode or whatever. So you definitely want that. And I think it goes all the way up. They're going to be supporting games all the way up to 120 frames. All right. 4K now. So you got 4K with this. So it's definitely letting you know that, we're here and we've listened to people and everything. We wanted to make this shit right. And the one thing that I've always talked about having an issue with the Switch 1 was the communication department. Okay. And I'm talking about, chat. All right. So this Switch is going to have chat. Finally, they have implemented that shit in this system. Okay. So where you can actually have chat, it's got some good, decent AI in there, which is a nice sound cancellation stuff going on in there. So you could be in a loud room and it will cut all that out and focus on your voice, which is awesome, I think. And like I said, that's just one of the things that they have there, and it's been tested. People have tested it and said it really works pretty good. And so that's going to be awesome. Also a camera, they have their own camera you can buy, I think $50. I'm assuming you could use your own camera if you want. And they have a lot of things incorporating that into some of the games. And I don't know how far they will take that as far as the chat and stuff like that goes. Who knows what they have down the pipeline. Like I said, this is all new. They're not going to give us everything day one, guys. A lot of things will be developed over the years and all of that. So that's what we have there. And then they had, they showed a lot of games, third party, that are coming to the Switch, one including not Bloodborne. I'm tripping. My bad, guys. I'm sorry. Elden Ring is coming there, and eventually even Cyberpunk. That kind of blew my mind. Cyberpunk 2077 is coming. They actually showed a little bit of footage of that, of both those games, on the Switch 2. So a lot of people who are Nintendo only fans, they're going to get some treats here. It's not necessarily something for, the hardcore gamers like myself who has all systems or most of the systems as far as consoles. And, we have a lot of these titles already. So you're going to get an inferior version of that, but you're still going to get a pretty decent version with this hardware because it's able to do some things that the Switch definitely could not do. But I'm going to name off some games, man. Third party games that are coming. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. Okay. Wild Hearts S. The Wild Hearts game, the Monster Hunter game, WWE 2K. So you're going to get the wrestling game series coming out here. Actually, good one this time, a decent one. You'll be able to play it and do all the things with it. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. Street Fighter 6. That one is wild. Star Wars Outlaws. That's another crazy one. All right. I'm just naming games that you wouldn't expect. They're also working on a new 007 game called Project 007. So Who knows when that's coming out, but it is in development. So keep your eyes out on that. What else is on here coming out that they're going to be doing? I want to say Hogwarts Legacy is another one. Yep. They're also doing Hitman. Yeah, man, they're doing a lot of stuff, man. Madden, the Madden series. So you're going to be able to do the Madden thing. I said Hitman already. Hades 2. Final Fantasy 7, I forgot to mention that one. Okay, Integrate. So we're going to see how that runs. They actually showed a little bit of it in the presentation. I was looking on my phone, so I didn't get a chance to see what it looked like on the big screen to find out how, what limitations it may have or whatnot. I think it'll be fine on the PS. I think it'll be fine on the Nintendo Switch. It'll basically be like the PS4 version of it. Now the question is, the other games, are they going to be putting or porting these other games onto that system? That's the question. And that I'm sure will come in due time. They should, if they want to make money, they should do that, but we'll see. And these games are going to have to be, I think they said Cyberpunk was like 50 gigabytes. So right now they're using cartridges that, go up to 64. So, of course, knowing Nintendo, this already. Not everybody's going to be using that. They're going to be skimping, and that's what's going to be happening. But there's one game that caught my attention, and this one, these are third-party games, but, this one caught my attention, and I really wanted to talk about it really quick. Did I write it down? It looks like it's a Marvel game. It's called Marvel Cosmic Invasion. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up, which they utilize sprite graphics, kind of like the graphics, almost as if they were using the same graphics or recycling the same graphics from the Street Fighter vs. Capcom 2 collection. Almost, it looks like the same animation, kind of, but it's just now a side scroller of somewhat. So I'm interested to see what that is, because I love beat 'em ups, and this one just looks really crispy and I really bright. I may not get it for this. I may get it for something else, but I definitely want to look more into that game. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff here, man. There's a lot of games I'm not naming. I can't believe I'm saving this for last, but there's 2 games. One game that everybody was looking for was Silk Song. Okay, they showed a clip of Silk Song, maybe like 6 to 10 seconds of Silk Song. So letting everybody know, hey, Silk Song's still in development. Okay, they're still coming. So hopefully they come this year. People have been waiting for that game for so goddamn long. But anyway, that game right there, and then the other game that I have been anticipating, and they went dark on the game until now. And this is Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. Now, this game here, I was looking for years. They announced it, and then that's it. They let it go. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was coming out for the Switch. But apparently they were holding it, and they wanted to release it on the Switch too. And if you guys don't know, Daemon X Machina is a mech game, and it is my favorite Switch game. It is my favorite Nintendo Switch game, and I love it. And there's some awesome ones. There's some awesome Switch games out there. All right. For real. But that one is my numero uno. And I was waiting for the sequel. And now we know that it's coming. So I can't wait to look and get more information on that. But that'll probably be the one that for me. Now, there's a lot of questions, going into a lot of these games now, because now I got to talk about the shit show that Nintendo basically has been doing. Okay, and purposely so too. That it makes them look worse, because the stuff that they're practicing, guys, it's salacious, is what it is. Now, the price I talked about, guys, but that's one thing. The battery life, which is between 2 and 6 hours. Okay, so most of the games, if you want to play something beefy, just get ready for an hour and 45 minutes of fun and adventure. Okay, and you better be looking for an outlet. That's all I'm saying. Nowadays, when you get to these beefier systems, guys, you got to keep a charger, a plug in your back pocket. You just have to, because you're not playing it, undocked or unplugged for too long. It's just not going to happen. So you better find somewhere close to put it, to give it power. And I'm just keeping it real. So, that one had a fan. So I'm questioning, since the dock has a fan on it, and if you're trying to play it out of the dock for an extended period of time, and it's a beefy game, say you're trying to play Cyberpunk, right? And you're trying to play it in handheld, and you're trying to play it more than, 5 hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours, that Switch is probably going to heat up. Okay. Really, really, really heat up. And I wonder how they're going to, circumvent that. I'm still looking for a technical analysis and all that, and that stuff will come. But right now, we have to go on what we know now, and go from there. But anyway, the part that blew everybody's mind is not necessarily the cause of the system, because we knew that it could be in that ballpark. But what people are really upset about is the price of the games. Okay. Case in point, $80 for a digital game. I'm not talking physical here. I'm talking straight digital, $80. Okay. And if you want the physical, that's $90. So like I said before, guys, I'm a guy with tax and I factor that in with everything that I do. And we're talking about $100 game here. Okay. We're talking about $100 game here if you want the physical copy, and close to $90 if you want digital. That's going to shut a lot of shit down. That's going to stop a lot of people from buying a lot of these games because it's just retarded. It's ridiculous. Okay. I'm being honest. If you look on the internet, it's everywhere, anywhere in the gaming marketplace, guys, anywhere in these video game streets, you're going to get this talk. You're going to get the videos. You're going to get all of the banter from everybody who's got this information. But anyway, that's what's turning a lot of people off, me included. Okay. Me included. It kind of just pissed on my parade, if I'm being honest, guys. And that's not even the worst part, in my opinion. The worst part is, I would say, the key card situation. Okay. Because these games now are going by a key card, I guess, strategy, whatever you want to call it, where basically it allows you to still resell the games and all of that. But you're basically buying, you go to the game store, you'll see it at the store, you'll pick it up. When you take it home and open it up, there's a cartridge inside, but the game is not on the cartridge. There's a key on that card. So you stick it in your game, and it will basically tell Nintendo to reach out online on the eShop and download that game for you. So it's still a downloaded game only. Okay. And then if you wanted to sell that said game, you could sell, put the cartridge back in the box and sell it. And the next person could get that key card, key code, or key, whatever it is, and they can use it for themselves, and they'll just initiate the download there. That's how that works. And the only way you can play it is if that cartridge is in there. It has to be in there so that it could always read, so that, it can tell you, hey, the game is downloaded. So there's some sort of tech that is in there that says, okay, the game is downloaded on the system, and without that cartridge in there reading it, telling me that it works, then it's not going to work. So there's so many things here that just, you can let some of these people out here cook, because they're definitely going to cook, guys. Okay. I have somebody breaking this in 6 months. Okay. I have somebody out here breaking that shit and having, getting the key code to the game and then downloading it and then finding a way to continue to play it. All right. After that, unless there's some other alternate plan. That's another thing. That's the fun part about, when new consoles and stuff come out, when people come out and they start breaking stuff down and they end up reverse engineering this shit. And then they find crazy ways to break the system and do these things. And people are going to be doing it. Nintendo must be ready for that. They have to be, because these prices are outlandish. If you want to talk about piracy, okay, people would argue that this right here would be, grounds for that. This could backfire. And this is one of the ways that it could backfire in Nintendo's face, guys. It really could. Definitely, because everybody also knows, if you're not familiar, guys, Nintendo does not drop their prices. Okay. Very rare Nintendo drops their prices. Now, I'm not talking about third party. I'm talking about first party. Okay. There's still games right now that, are first party Switch games that are still the same fucking price right now, and have, they came out in 2017. All right. Like, if you try to go get Mario Odyssey and shit like that, you're going to get that. You're going to pay damn near full price for it still. It came out in 2017. All right. Now, third party games are different. Your third party game will come out. Yeah, it'll be $60, $70. And then after about 3 months, 4 months, the price will drop $10, $20. And then, Black Friday, you might be able to get it for 20. You know what I mean? The right place. But if it's a Nintendo game, no. The most they'll drop a game, like that, it'll have, number one, years would have to pass. And then it would be maybe $30, on average. And that's being generous. Most of them only come down 10, 20. All right. And now you're talking about games that are selling for $90 after tax, then they're telling you, oh, okay, yeah, well, it's on sale now. So, you can get it for $60 or $70. So they are really trying the community here. Okay. And the sad part about this, guys, most people are still going to buy it. The people who want it are going to buy it. And we all know Nintendo has crazy rabid fans. I say this all the time. They're going to sell out. They're going to be scalpers. There's going to be people trying to sell it. There's going to be people who actually buy from some of these scalpers because they love Nintendo that much. They don't give a fuck what Nintendo can shit on the game, rub it, smear it all in the console, and then put it in a box and send it to you, and they still would want it. They'll still buy it. And that's the issue. And you know what I mean? And if I'm being honest, if I'm not buying it now, I never buy consoles day one anyway, for the most part. And I'm going to break that down in two shakes of a lamb's tail. But yeah, this is definitely not a day one for me. Of course not. I don't even care if it was one available. Oh, they have a couple over here. No, I'm still not buying it day one. Still not buying it day one. I'm going to wait. Number one, because I want to see what they're able to, I want to see what what people are going to do, how they're going to react. Like I said, the scalpers, number one. Number two, the tech guys out there who are going to break the shit down, and they're going to, expose whatever can be exposed and fixed, whatever need to be fixed, those type of things. And I just want to see how, it's received on the games and stuff like that. Another thing that a lot of people are pissed about, though, I got to throw this in here, guys, is the fact that, they have announced that, the Breath of the Wild games, both of them are coming out. Okay. I guess Switch 2 version. And, people got excited at first because they said, oh yeah, 60 frames, better upgrades in graphics and fidelity and all that. Everybody got excited. But then, like I said, all these things that I'm telling you guys, for the most part, have been discovered after the presentation. They didn't put any of this in the presentation, like the prices. They purposely left those out, and you couldn't just go to the website and find it. You had to scroll through it and go all the way at the bottom and all that shit. They knew what they were doing. Okay. They didn't just plan this overnight. They had strategized this whole thing. They made all these other facts hard to find and scattered out so that you'd have to go find them. And like dumbasses, I don't know if they thought that people weren't going to do that. I mean, people are going to comb over this shit with a fine tooth comb and then go over it with another fucking fine tooth comb, guys. This is the internet now. So you can't hide anything. But anyway, they found out that these Zelda games, if you were to go buy the Switch 2 version of it, it's nothing but the Switch 1 version with a DLC attached to it where you can download the upgrades. So most people thought, oh, I'm getting the actual game, on the cartridge, like, the other ones. No, you're not. You're getting what I already have now, which is both of the Breath of the Wilds, right? And then you're just getting a download with it. So people are looking around like, well, I already have that. Why the fuck would I be paying a full priced thing for that? Well, you can't. You don't have to. You can just pay us $20 and you can get the upgrade. But other people who never have the games, right? They're thinking they're just going to get the Breath of the Wild version of the Switch 2, but they're really just getting the regular version, and then they're paying for the update. They're paying so that's what you're getting. Okay. Now I don't think they're going to continue to do that because, like I said, the Donkey Kong game has already been confirmed to come completely all on the disc. That's a first party game, and this game was made specifically for the Switch 2. But if you're talking about older games that people want to see back again from the Switch 1 and they're trying to re-release them, this is what you're going to get. So this is kind of sleazy. A lot of people didn't like that. They weren't happy with that approach to it. And then there's also a statement that Nintendo put out that basically said some of the original Switch ports are having issues and they're working through those right now. Okay. And the first thing I thought about was, give you a quick example, is Xbox. Just take Xbox for example, like backwards compatibility, their stuff, right? Every Xbox game is not backwards compatible. There's a reason why a lot of these games are left off the list, because there's some sort of issue that it wouldn't be worth the squeeze. It would be too much to have to do to constitute, putting that on the game and making it available to the masses, so to speak. So they just went ahead and cut those games out. And that's kind of where they're at, Nintendo. So I was told there's over 100 games right now that are kind of going through that situation. So if you got a library, you probably want to hope and pray that that doesn't happen into any of your games, because you may want to play them. And these are games you can't even play on the Switch 2. Like you can't put that in the Switch 2 and it won't even play it. It won't be backwards compatible. So, you want to get that ironed out, Nintendo. You definitely do, because a lot of people are going to be trading their Switch 1s in for the Switch 2s and so on and so forth. So you definitely want to look out for that. But yeah, those are the flaws. Those are a lot of the blemishes, guys, on this Switch, right? And that's a lot of things that are making a lot of people unhappy. But like I said, it's split down the middle. You got some people, really upset about it, and you got a lot of other people who are still upset, but they're still going to go ahead and buy it because they're Nintendo fanboys and girls, and that's fine. I mean, if that's what you like, if that's what you think is worth it, hey, nobody can tell you what how much something is supposed to mean to you. If we're being honest here, you know what I mean? Like I said, I bought the first Berserker Kazaa, and it was only $60. It wasn't even $70. It's a $60 game, and I think it's worth every fucking penny. I think that game is worth $70 easily. But there's somebody out there who would listen to that and say that game's not worth $20. Okay, so it's really about what you want to pay for it, and that's what Nintendo's doing. They're putting it in the consumer's hands and say, you know what? You decide if you think this is enough to buy this in this game and that game. We're gonna do what we're gonna fucking do. And if you don't know Nintendo by now, you just never knew them. This is how they roll. This is how they fucking operate. And nothing's going to change that. All right. They're going to do it their way. And that's just the way it is. And most people, understand that, but it still doesn't make it any less painful. Okay. When you're looking at this, $500 for a new system. And there's so many arguments against this if you want to look at it like that. And that's why I always say only reason why I bought Nintendo anything, and the reason why I deal with any console up until this point, was for the fact that certain consoles made certain games that was exclusive to that said system, right? And Nintendo, their first party games is what you go to Nintendo for. Games that aren't coming out anywhere else. They want Ex Machina, the Mario franchise, okay? Those type of things, Kirby, those characters, Zelda, you know what I mean? Like Link. These are the characters, Donkey Kong, and so on and so forth. These are the games that come out for Nintendo, and you're not going to be able to get anywhere else. More so than any other system, right? More so than PlayStation, who has the exclusive that sometimes would eventually come out for PC. Nintendo has none of that. You're not getting any of their shit. So, that's just what they do. And so I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on out here. And my approach is going to be, here's my approach on almost every system anyway, but this is the same approach I'm going to be taking with the Switch 2 for a number of different reasons. Okay. My approach to buying Switch 2 is I'm going to wait. I'm not going to say, yeah, I'm pissed about it and all that. Don't get it twisted. I think they're charging too much, especially for the games. I think the games are really overpriced, but I'm taking the approach of wait and chill, because number one, I don't feel like getting in any rat race. I'm not going to run down. I'm not going to wait in the line, for days and shit like that. I'm not doing that to get my hands on the Switch. Number one, most importantly, I'm not going to, I don't like getting things brand new straight off the cuff, because there's really nothing there. Now, at least this system will have the Mario Kart World game, and the Donkey Kong game is coming out 2 months after the Switch is out. So it's a couple months, and you wait for that and you can play that then. But, if you're into those titles and you want those titles now, then yeah, I mean, that would constitute a lot of people wanting to buy that. And I think that's going to happen. I think for a lot of people, a lot of people love Mario Kart. I'm not a big Mario Kart fan. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of people who love Mario Kart and are going to put hours and hours into it. And they're, rubbing their hands together like Birdman waiting. Okay. But that's not me. So this is just my preference. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until at least, I'm not going to say a year, but I'm going to wait probably close to that easily until I see what they do with the prices. Fuck, who knows? I may even wait until they put their new rendition out, because Switch is coming out with another rendition. It may be a couple years, but they're going to have another rendition, and it's going to be, an OLED or a sleeker model or whatever it is, right? I have to look. I'm watching that library. Okay. So Donkey Kong to me is the only game right now that they have that is coming out. And maybe the Souls game that constitutes me, most people like wanting to buy it. But Donkey Kong is not a game that I'm like, oh, I have to have that. and it's a system seller for me. It may be for a lot of other people, but not for me. So that's another reason. It's just not, I don't buy a new system unless I absolutely have reason to. Like, I need more than one reason though. Usually I need more than one game. There's some games out there that could make that happen, but most will not. Depending on what this Daemon X Machina game does, it may push me to do that. Like I said, and this is a weird game for most people listening, will be like, what, that game? Yeah, because like I said, it's just, I love that franchise. I love that game. That's my favorite Switch 1 game. So yeah, I might constitute doing that. And like I said, it's something else is going to constitute me doing that as well. I got to find out, is that game third party or is that a first party? Because that was a first party and then it went to PC a little bit later. So my question is it going to be all on the disc, on the cartridge, or how are they doing this? Is it going to be just one of those cold things? That's going to also have a lot to do with how I move forward with that, because I don't want any of those card game download here type things. I'm not going to be buying any third party games now for the Switch. That kind of killed the vibe for me. Unless you're going to be a third party company who's going to say, oh no, we're going against the grain. We're going to actually put our game on the disc. Now, depending on who the company is, they're going to do that. But if I'm being honest, guys, most third party companies are going to take the cheap way out. They're not going to do that. So if you see like, Assassin's Creed Odyssey and all that come to the Switch 2, guess what? 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be on the cartridge. They're going to give you that download code and you're going to have to download it. And the amount of space on the game, I think it's 256 gigabytes is what it comes native with, right? And so you'd have to buy one of their cards. You have to buy a special one of those fast micro SD cards as well to run on the new Switch. So, go ahead and put in another $50, $60 for that if you want something, and maybe in more, definitely if you want more memory. So yeah, that system's gonna fill up very fast. And I'm not even talking about the operating system first. So you can definitely knock out 30 or 40 of that for the operating system. And then, you're looking at about 200 gigs, something like that to put these games on. And like I said, I already said that Cyberpunk is 50 gigs. So yeah, do the math. You might put 3 or 4 games on there and you're done. Okay. So that's not going to cut it. So yeah, the memory thing is definitely a thing. And then, sometimes it's just best to sit back and relax and watch shit unfold, especially with these new systems. I want to also see what the third party companies, as far as accessories, what they're going to do, because they always come up with cool shit with the Nintendo Switch as far as what they're able to bring to the table, right? Even companies who are doing games for Nintendo, you can go, Play Asia, and you can do some other companies as well who do those things. So they may, decide to put the money up, and they do. Usually Limited Run is another company. They do it too. So they'll take that and buy a set number. We'll do 100 of them. Okay. And we'll put these games that you guys want, and we'll put them on a cartridge, and then we'll sell them to you guys. And, there's going to be a lot of sales like that for people who want to conserve and keep physical, because I'm into video conservation. I'm an advocate for that. And I do download some games, don't get me wrong, and it is convenient and it has its pluses to it. But at the same time, I just love the fact that I could play a lot of my older games. And I'm talking about a lot of my Nintendo shit, 3DS, 2DS, those games I could pick up, plug them in, and get right to work and play them, and don't have to worry about being connected to the internet or worried about their servers going down and not being able to play them anymore. Because, that's going to be an issue with a lot of these games. If you buy that game that has that key on it, it's only you're on borrowed time. That game, you're on borrowed time. After that, it's just a case. That's all it is. It's memories in a case. You're not going to be able to pick that game up and play it anymore. If the servers go down, if they discontinue it, you're fucked, right? You can never say, well, fuck you, I have the actual game, I can play whenever I want. It's not going to be a possibility. And that's the thing. That's the issue with video game conservation. And that's where we're headed. I understand that the digital age is upon us and we're not going to be able to escape it. Eventually it's coming for us all. But at the same time, the games that I do have and the games that I have accumulated up until this point, I want to be able to go back and play them when I would like to. Okay. And I'm going to scratch and crawl until I can't anymore to keep that freedom. And a lot of people feel the same way. And so, it is what it is. Also, if you want to go with the chat, which I think is a long time coming, should have been here a long time ago, but I'm happy that it is here now for Nintendo. They're charging for that. So it's not like if you have a PlayStation, PS5, and you don't have any games, or you're playing a free to play game and you want to get in a party it's free. No, with Nintendo, they're charging you for that. So if you don't have Nintendo Online, you're not going to be able to chat with anybody. So that's another caveat that they're taking to this. So like I said, they're definitely some greedy fucks. Let's just keep it real and call it what it is. Nintendo is greedy. We all know this, and they're going to do what they do. All right. I'm a gamer at the end of the day. And if they put something out that I want to play bad enough, I'm going to find a way to get a Switch, but it won't be on day one, and it won't be on, 6 months from now from the release or anything like that. It'll be later on when things have died down, when you can go to any store and pick them up or order them online, and they're available everywhere without having to pay scalp prices. And then there's enough games in the ecosystem where you could say, okay, I know that now if I buy this Switch 2 and then I buy this game here that I really want to play, when I get done with this game here, there will be at least 2 or 3 other games I can jump to. It's not going to be that thing where, oh, I've played Donkey Kong and now I'm waiting months to play something else, right? Especially when I have all these other games and consoles around me. That's really another point to why it's not really going to bother me per se, as it might bother someone else who's just a diehard Nintendo person. And it may not even bother them as much. It shouldn't. But, if that's all they play and they are just Nintendo fanboys and girls, they're going to be wanting that system, even though they have a Switch and they have all these other games with their Switch, right? And they play their Switch on a regular basis. Somebody like me who has the Switch, okay, and who has Sony and Xbox and all these things, right? And I'm not even talking about all my handhelds, and I'm not even talking about my third-party handhelds and stuff, the Retroid Pocket and all that. I have too many things to play if I wanted to play them, right? So I'm not worried about, getting a Switch day one. It's not going to hurt me. And like I said, especially if it's nothing out there that I want to play right now that's just saying, oh, you have to play this. And there's nothing out there that's doing it. I'm not a Mario Kart guy, and Donkey Kong was never, my thing either. So, I'm not worried about that. Now, the other ones I wanted, like I said, the Daemon Ex Machina, when I find out more about that may say, oh, yeah, I want to play this. But it still may not have me buy the system day one, because like I said, I still have to wait till they're available, because I'm being honest with you guys. This is not going to be available. Shit is going to go fast. The first batch, it's going to go like hotcakes. The second batch is probably going to do the same thing. So you're not probably going to get on that train till maybe 9 months to a year later. You're going to be able to just walk in and buy one or get lucky and pick one up. It's just not happening. And then you got to keep in mind these bots, they're going to be buying a lot of shit up and trying to scalp for it. So you got to fight that. So I'm not interested in dealing with all that right now. And then also all the games on the third party, section of that, it's not going to matter to us. Somebody like me who's playing, who's a Sony guy mainly, I don't want a downgraded version of those games. I could get those from another system. And then on top of that, I can get it, a lot of these on the disc. I'm not trying to battle and fight that. You know what I mean? That's more speaking to people who only have the Switch 2 and are only dealing with that. If you're only dealing with that, then, yeah, you can go ham on these third party games, but you're flipping a coin as far as how you're going to be able to play those. You know what I mean? Like I said, you're not going to own them outright if they put it on a disc. If they put the key card on the disc, that's only, you're on borrowed time with that. Okay. They're as good as the servers are. So if the servers last 7 years, then you're good for 7 years. If it's good for 10, maybe 10. But after that, if they shut it down, that's as much life as you have at that game. So enjoy it. I'm just stating facts here. This is all just straight facts, guys. And this is just from my perspective. This is how I would deal with it. And, moving forward, that's how I tend to do it. So no day one for me. Definitely not. They've got to come with some titles that I just can't live without. And it's only going to be available on the Switch too. And that's it, because I play my games docked anyway. My Switch, I play docked. I never play it handheld often. I very rarely play it in handheld. If I'm traveling, I'll take it there. And then I even have a kit that I take with me that, like I said, third party that somebody created, and where you can go and play it on a TV and set it on the side and do it that way. And I always dock it. I don't like playing them handheld often. I do have some connections. I have some Hori joysticks, which are awesome when I do play it in handheld, but very rarely do I play the Switch in handheld mode, guys. It's always docked somewhere. So that's why I, tend to run with it. And so, like I said, I'm not really hurting. You know what I mean? I plan on playing this thing docked. And if it's not a first party game that I can't get anywhere else, there's no reason for me to jump off the porch and try to get this stuff now. So that's where I'm going with it, guys. There are some beautiful things about the Switch. There are also some flaws about this about this system, guys, and we're gonna definitely find out more when it comes out. That's the other thing, and the other thing that's beautiful about waiting, because you get to let everybody else get it. You get to let the Digital Foundry and all these other guys get their hands on it, and they can break this shit down, and then they can really dive in and tell you everything about it. And then, a lot of people are probably going to feel a lot better about not buying it when they, get a hold of some of this stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm talking about casual people too, because casual players are people who are just, that's the masses. That's who they're selling this to, the casuals. If they were trying to sell this to guys like us, a lot of us who listen to my show and people like me who just are diehard gamers in general, we're into, what goes on behind the curtains. The whole reason I'm doing this podcast is because I'm into the business behind these companies, the publishers and things of that nature. A lot of people don't know and give a fuck about who published this game or that game and all that, who wrote this a game and worked on that. So for us, it's not, it's just different. You know what I mean? It's a little different. So we'll see what happens, guys. I mean, it was bittersweet to me. If I have to say anything, I'd have to say bittersweet is what pops up in my mind when I think about the Switch 2 now. It really does. And so I'll wait, and some prices will slip a little bit, and things will, get a little easier to attain. And, I'll wait then, because I'm also interested in one thing that they really haven't touched on yet. And that's the conversion from the eShop that we currently have now to the new one, how that's going to look, right? There's a video out showing the eShop, and, there's only a couple slight changes. But my question is, will the indie games and will all the games that I bought, digitally that I have on my Switch 1 that I haven't even played, which are a shit ton of those, will those be playable on the Switch 2? And will those be accessible on the Switch 2? So in other words, if I traded in my Switch 1 right now and I bought a Switch 2, when I booted it up and went to the eShop, could I download those games digitally on my Switch 2, and would they be playable? Right? So that's the question that I still have that hasn't been answered. And those things will definitely become answered, like I said, a few months definitely after the Switch has been out in the wild and people have gotten a hold of it. And that'll answer a lot of stuff for me as well. So like I said, I can, transition into that. And that's the thing. I'm not selling my Switch 1, my first Switch or whatever. Like I said, I'm into video conversation. Excuse me. I'm into video game conservation. So I will be holding on to most of my systems, man. My PS4, I still have it in the garage. I still have, I'll still keep this Switch, and I still have, my Dreamcast and all of those things, my Nintendo 64, right? Like all my Nintendo handhelds, my 3DS, all of that. So not selling any of that stuff, keeping all my games, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, that's where we're at, man. So I hope this show was nice and juicy for you. And, we talked about it. I think I left everything on the table with this Switch, especially how I feel. There's a lot of people that are salty. Jesus Christ, there are a lot of salty individuals, and rightfully so. Like I said, this is different. A lot of people think that Nintendo is going to change the scope of how a lot of these publishers start to sell their games, and they think that they're setting a precedent, and now a lot of companies are going to try to follow suit. And I think you may have some who try to do this, but I think for the most part, it's not going to happen that way. I think there are a lot of these developers are smarter than we give them credit for, and they're going to use this to their advantage. Okay. They're going to say, well, here's our game, and we are not doing that. And some of them already have done that. There have been a lot of third-party companies and publishers who've already come out literally today and yesterday and put out releases talking about they don't plan to sell their games at this price. They're going to stay at some of the same prices that everybody has been known to see, and they're going to keep it moving because they want to sell their games. And one company can't say, oh, Nintendo's charging 80, so we're going to charge 80. It's not the same. It's not on the same level. Okay. Nintendo can do that and get away with that, and will get away with it most likely for the most part. They're going to definitely have a sale drop. It's not going to be as strong, I don't think, but they're still going to sell a lot of games because, like I said, people, are still going to buy that shit. But that's good to know that a lot of publishers aren't trying to go that way. because a lot of them try that and they will definitely be going the way of the dodo if they do. And that'd be cool. So what I like is to see what other companies do, how they pivot and how they, take your money. They may say, oh, okay, like I said, some of these other companies will say, well, if this game's not on the disc, we will make one and put it on the cart for you and we will give it to you there. Okay. If they won't do it. And some publishers, third party, will decide to go ahead and take that and say, we're going to put all of this on the cartridge for you so that, you'll have this forever or whatever. So those are the type of things those would make me buy third party games for the Switch, games that you could take on the go with you that are fun and, that will all fit on a cartridge. There'll be a few of those that I will definitely pick up and buy, but there won't be a lot of them. You know what I mean? But yeah, mainly I'll be first party buying games. And like I said, depending on the eShop and how they run that, it'll be a lot of indie games that I buy. It'll be a lot of games, people making a lot of indie stuff on the Switch too. And I'll be definitely embarking on a lot of that stuff. So I'm really excited about that. Believe it or not, more than anything right now is, well, what Nintendo's going to hit us with, because they're going to have some dope first party shit, from between now and years from now. We're going to get some dope shit. But I also want to see what these indie developers are able to do, because I love indie games. I'm a huge fan of indie games, and I have a lot of them on Switch 1. So looking forward to seeing what they're going to have on the Switch 2, because one of the best things about indie games are they're cheap. They're not very expensive. Okay. And like I said, that's one of the best things about that I thought about when it comes to the Switch. It's a baby Steam Deck to me. You know what I mean? They have their own eShop and the ecosystem is huge. And I think this one will follow suit as well. So most of my purchases will probably be from the fucking eShop as far as the indie games. And then I'll buy, that occasional couple games a year from Nintendo, maybe a first party game here or there. And that's probably how I'll be rocking out, and I love my RPGs. So let's see what they'll be cooking up on that aspect. But yeah, eventually I'm not sitting and telling you guys I'm not going to get the Switch 2. I'm just telling you guys I'm not going to get it now. I'm going to let this shit die down. I'm going to let some prices change a little bit. And, I'm not going to fight the crowds and all that. And, I'll go there and I'll wait for, like I said, some games to come out that I really want to play. I need at least 3 games that I could say, oh, I want to play these games and these are exclusives. Once I get that in my sights, then I will decide to make that purchase. Okay. And it'll probably take a year or close to it before I'm able to do that or feel like I want to do that. I already have the money. It's ready. I can go get this shit now if I wanted to. But like I said, I'm not fighting the crowds. Number one, I'm not paying any overpriced shit either, scalping or anything. I scalped my PS5 enough. I paid $700 for my shit. And I'm not doing that again. Okay. And now that I have that, that's my main go-to machine. So I have backlogs and all kinds of the shit that's, I'm not worried about the Switch 2 right now. Like I said, I play docked anyway. So everything I play at my desk. So nothing's going to, you know what I mean? I'm not in any rush. I'm not sitting here without a system with nothing to play. So that's going to do it. I want to thank everybody for coming out, downloading, streaming, listening to this episode, guys, episode 400. I love you guys so much. And I want to apologize again for just not being as consistent with these episodes. It's just that when I put an episode out, I want to give you stuff like this. This is an hour plus, you know what I mean? Meat and potatoes. I don't want to give you guys just side orders. You know what I'm saying? Club sodas and shit like that. I want to give you guys the real deal. And every week, it's just not going to be that. And I don't want to, do a lot of fluff anymore. It's not worth it. And I don't want to give you guys that. So, hopefully every week there's something to discuss. And some people have been asking me to do stuff like, hey, why don't you ever do any like the best ofs or your all time favorites, this and that. And I said, you know what? I will definitely start incorporating some of those, because I can record them anytime. And I may start just recording some of those episodes and just using those for days or weeks that I don't have anything really going on in the video game world, that is current. So I may start doing that. That's a good idea. I forgot who suggested that to me, but I definitely heard that and I will take that into consideration as well. Because there are some dope shows that I'd like to do as far as my favorite top 10 video games of all time, some of my favorite publishers, that breakdown, and some of my favorite video game characters. I mean, yeah. So I could definitely see myself doing that. I could even break down some anime stuff, some of my favorite animes, and some of my favorite anime characters. Like, we can nerd out here. You know what I mean? So there might be a time where I actually do that. I record some of these shows for you guys, and I kick these out to you because these are evergreens, so they don't get old. You can talk about them whenever. So yeah, may do that. But anyway, for the last time, guys, I'm going to get out of here and edit this for you guys and put it out. And I'm going to put this on YouTube, the Random Gameplay Pimpin YouTube channel, this episode here. So I'm going to try to do more with that channel as time progresses as well. It'll probably be a lot of shorts right now in the next couple of weeks. And then I might try to, put these episodes up there again. And then I'll see from there because I have some things I'm working on and down the pipeline. And once I'm trying to get this one channel monetized. And if I get it monetized this year, then I can see myself starting to kind of go and start doing way more content on the Random Gameplay Pimpin channel, guys, like more gameplay and stuff like that. I've already recorded a couple boss fights from the first Berserker that I just want to upload just for shits and giggles and stuff. So yeah, gonna do that. But yeah, that's gonna do it. All right, now I'm really for real. I'm getting ready to go. So I love you guys. This is your boy Studio MacGyver, and you have been listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin. See you next time.